Hey everyone, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our RIP treat basket. As you can see, I got myself a goofy little goblin on my desk here, and this is going to be a quick project, I think. Perfect little way to, well, I guess, really spoil a trick-or-treater, or maybe a friend at work, or a teacher, or whoever. Someone that obviously likes Halloween. So what we're going to do, you can see here we have the main structure is made up of these 4 pieces. We're going to tie them all together. Well, we're going to glue them all together. And then we're going to piece everything together. And most important thing to do here is when we glue these together is to make sure that we alternate this piece that's round at the top with this piece that isn't. Okay, so we're gonna do this one, then we'll grab this one and finish with this one. Just alternate, very simple. Okay, so let's start off by applying glue to this tab here. And now be careful when working with this glue and black cardstock. Black has a tendency to show the glue once it dries. Technically, they say it dries clear, but it does leave kind of just a shiny little sheen. And this thing kind of tapers out. So you want to make sure that you just get this lined up. Take a look at the horizontal line here. And also, by the way, we do have some score marks here, 1 and a 2, and there's a 3 and a 4. The 4 is actually 4 dashes in the shape of a square. Okay, so you can also use that numbering system to help you. Okay, so there's 1 and 2 connected. Then we're going to move on to number 3, which again is the one with the smooth round shape at the top. And let's apply our glue. Nice and easy, trying not to get it onto the face here. Spread that glue out to the very edge of the tab. Okay, we'll put that down flat. We'll grab piece number 3 and get that lined up as accurately as possible. Just like that. I'm focusing down here at the bottom just to make sure that everything is lining up correctly. I'll press that down. Just like that. Everything looks good on the inside. I can fold it over onto itself. And I need to scoot in a little bit here. Okay. And we'll put some glue on the next piece, the next tab here. You could also make this, say you're having some friends or some family over for Halloween and you just want to put out some treats. You could do it with this guy here, this little bugger. Or you could even make it, put your stuff in there and allow your trick-or-treaters to grab the goodies straight out of Mr. Skeleton. What I like to do is, at the end of the night, actually, you know what, to be honest, it's been such a long time since I was actually home on Halloween to hand out candy. I usually just leave it out and let the trick-or-treaters just kind of grab whatever they want because we're always out at haunted houses. Okay, so here's where the fun begins. We're just going to basically be doing some paper piecing. Our skeleton is going to go on the sides here that are round at the top, and then our little tombstone is going to go on these 2 sides. We have a series of markers to help us with the positioning of pretty much everything here. So these pieces here, these 2, this one's going to go on top like this, just to kind of thicken it up. And also to show a little bit of that green up at the top. So what I'd suggest doing, you see these little cracks in the tombstone. I wouldn't worry too much about putting glue on those just yet. We're going to use the little painting technique to get those glued into place once we get the main part of this actually glued into place, because I think it might be a little hard to do all in one fell swoop. So let's not do that, especially because we're dealing, like I said, with a black piece of cardstock, and I don't want to blemish the cardstock. So let's just get these two pieces connected, one on top of the other. The green is essentially like a little shadow. Okay, make sure everything is nice and aligned. I'm going to use my table to help me get the rest of this in place. And then what we'll do, one little tip, get yourself a bunch of these little scrap pieces of paper. It's literally just extra cardstock that I have from projects that I've cut. Throw a little bit of glue right on the corner, and then just take and just paint a little bit of glue right on that little crack. Tiny little crack, and then just line those two up and press them together. Just like that. It just makes it so much easier and cleaner. And then we'll move on to this one here. Just paint a little bit of glue on the underside of that shape. Wipe off any excess, line them up, press them together, bam. Very simple. I'll throw a little extra glue on my little piece here. And that just leaves this guy here. I'm literally just popping this right between the two layers. And just painting a little bit of glue on there. Wipe off any excess, line them up. Should already be pretty much lined up. Okay, so there's one. And again, as I mentioned, you'll notice that there's a little marker here, a little marker here, and that's where we need to line this piece up. Okay, we'll get that nice and centered, and then you'll notice some markers here, and then also some markers here. This is where the cross is going to go, and this is where our little caption is going to go, the RIP caption. Okay, so let's flip this over and get it in place. So I'm going to do one of each. I'm going to do one with the skeleton, one with the tombstone, and then we'll do the other one as well. But if you can do one, you can do them both. And again, with the little cracks, I'm going to skip that for now, and I'm going to use my little painting technique because, again, I don't want to blemish this paper. I want to make it as pristine as possible. And get that lined up. And press it down using those little guides that I mentioned right here in these two corners. There we go. I'll grab my little scrap piece of paper, throw a little extra glue on there. You can kind of lift this up a little bit as you paint some glue on there. Wipe off any excess and press it down. Okay. And we'll do the same thing with the remaining two little cracks. I'm literally just kind of dabbing it. Try not to smear it too much because I am getting some excess glue on there. And that might just defeat the purpose here. There we go. There's one. And we'll lift that up. Just a tiny little bit of glue right on there. Press it down. And there you go. Okay, so got that in place. Let's grab our little cross. You can see that there's a series of little score marks here, and it's going to go, these two score marks are going to go right into these little points right here where the circle meets the base of it. Okay, and there's also some other ones there. Just line it up and you'll see where those little markers fit. It's pretty self-explanatory once you actually see it, but they're there to help you ensure that you get everything nice and centered and upright. Of course, it never hurts to just give it kind of a quick little visual once over just to make sure that it is in fact nice and straight and up and down, and it is. Okay, and let's get our caption in place. Oh, and by the way, we also have this little donut that's going to go right there, and that is where our handle is going to go. And we're going to use that to kind of thicken that up and reinforce it. Since we are going to have a handle in there, it's going to be a wire. We want that to be nice and thick. We'll press that down. We also have these little swirlies. Okay, and it's going to be, well, it's going to be a backwards S. Yeah, just make sure you grab the right one. It's going to be a backwards S on this side. And it's just a matter of finding where the markers go. That's not right. Hold on. Make sure I have the right one. Ah, there we go. That's how we want it. That's the one. Okay, so you can see there's kind of like a little V shape here that's going to go right here at that little point, that little valley. And then we have another V shape up here that's going to go right into that little point there. Okay, and I mean, once you get it there, you can see, I just kind of want to get it centered in that area. Okay, but the guides are there to help you make it super accurate. Okay, so definitely use those little guides. Can't see it now. There it is. Oops, just have to give it a little nudge. There we go, perfect. Okay, and then this guy is going to be going this way. And that's going on just like that. So just a few little dots of glue. It always helps to have a photo of the project in front of you as you're working on it, because sometimes there's definitely some details that you may not be able to see on camera, or I'm just moving my hand in front of things, just kind of obstructing your view. It's always helpful just to have, well, to have a reference, I guess you could say. By the way, when we put the caption together, there's going to be 4 pieces that look like this. It looks kind of like the I. That's the letter I there. You can see how there's 3 little nubs on each side here. This one has 3 nubs on the left, but only 1 nub on the bottom right. Okay, and that's gonna act as not only the first part of the R, but the first part of the P as well. And these 4 pieces are identical, so it doesn't matter which one you use. Okay, but obviously we're spelling out RIP, and you have little markers here to help you with the positioning of everything. So I'm going to put down the first piece for the first half of the R. Okay, and then here is the next part of the R. You can see the little marker exactly where it needs to go. Makes it nice and simple. Just match that up with the little markers. And if you're off a little bit, it's okay. Cool thing about it is it's a Halloween project, so there's definitely room for some craziness. Okay, next we're going to put the eye in place, and again, it's got the eye shape with the 6 little nubs, 3 on each side. I guess it's kind of like to make it look kind of bony. Okay, I'm going to grab another piece with the 3 nubs on the left, 1 nub on the right, bottom right, for the P. Just a few dots of glue. Line that up with the little marker. And then let's grab this little piece, like that. Just a small little piece. And just match that up with the marker, and there is your RIP. Okay, so that is one side, that's the tombstone side. Now, we're gonna work on the actual skeleton. Okay, so to make the skeleton, we're gonna grab this piece here. You'll have 2 of these. There's a green layer that's going to go behind this. We're using a white glitter, and it's just so that we can get a little bit of that green showing through on the nose and the eyes. Okay, so let's flip over Mr. Skeleton here and start applying our glue so we can glue him down to our nice green color. I don't know what color is that? It's AC Mint, actually, is what we used behind the white glitter. It looks really cool. So I'm curious, I wonder if our audience still has fun dressing up for Halloween, especially if you've got grandkids. What are you dressing up as this year? All right, so we're gonna put this on, right on top. So everything's gonna sit flat, except again, you're going to see just a little bit of the green poking through on the inside, on the eyeballs and on the nose. Okay, so this is what it should look like. You should see a little tiny bit of that on the inside. Okay, so we've got that. And this is going to get glued down. We have some markers right here. Actually, you know what? I need to fix that. I didn't get enough glue on his teeth. I'm going to throw a little bit of glue on a scrap piece of paper and just kind of poke that right in that little area where I didn't get enough glue, and just press that together. Okay, back to what I was saying here. We've got a series of markers here. If you place this down, you'll see that there's one marker that goes right here where the teeth meet the main part of the skull. There's one on each side. Okay, that's right there and right there. So if we pop that in there, you'll notice that we have a little bit of the black showing on around the perimeter of the main part of the skull. Okay, so that's what we need to focus on, is making sure that we get that lined up with those markers and that we have a nice even border going all the way around. Going pretty easy on the glue here. This is not a structural piece. We just want it to sit nice and flat, nice and secure. And there's a little part there. I want to make sure I get some glue on that. Just gonna kind of hold it by the eyeball here. And again, find the markers. Keep your eye on the markers as you place this down. It's kind of hard to see on black. If you have one of those handy little craft lights, those might come in very handy. There we go, perfect. I love that contrast with the green and the white and the turquoise on the black, very cool. There's another set of markers here on the inside. That's for the eyeball. We'll get to that in just a moment. In the meantime, we've got the bottom part of the mouth, and of course we have some markers for that as well. The two markers right here directly to the left of the teeth, they're kind of round, and they're going to go right in there. This part right here, the inner part of the jaw, is going to match up with those markers there. So let's get that in place. Go easy on the glue. Pretty delicate little piece. So yeah, listen to some podcasts, some political stuff here and there. I'm not going to talk about politics, but I just remember this specific personality talking about how adults shouldn't dress up for Halloween. And that's really the only thing I disagree with him on. Okay, so now that we've got that in place, I am noticing that the little cheek area there, not sitting completely flat. So I'll throw a little bit of glue. And there's no glue on the bottom, so you could literally slide this right on the paper that it's getting glued to without having to worry about blemishing it. And there, I'll just press that down. Problem solved. So you don't need to worry about it if that happens to you. I wouldn't even call it a mistake. It's just part of the process. Okay, now we have these little accent pieces, one on each side of the jaw. We'll throw just a few little dots, maybe a little swirl of glue here on that. And you'll notice that there's a marker here and a marker here. This one's a very sharp V. That's where this point goes. So we'll use that as kind of a guide. And then the other one is right there, top left part of the top section is where that's going to go. Okay, and then we're going to go here on the other one, and then we just need to put some eyeballs in place. I think this, you guys are really going to enjoy this one, I think. It's not that bad. Okay, I'm going to start at the bottom here with that sharp V, and then the other one is going to go right there. Just like that. And there we go. All right, so find two eyeballs. I believe, let me double check. I'm pretty sure these are all the same. I wouldn't see why they weren't or why they aren't, but I don't want to give you any bad information. And in fact, they are all the same. So just grab two of these. Okay, and the little markers there are essentially the points right here where they're cut out. So we're just going to line those up with the points, and it's going to look like that. Okay, so we're going to do that to both sides. Okay, and I put the first one in, and then the camera ran out of time. I have to restart it every 20 minutes. So again, the two little markers there are these two little points. So just pop the points right into those markers for proper alignment. And there you have it. So that's all it takes for our skeleton. And so we've done this side, and then for the other two here, I'm just going to repeat the same process. Okay, so this time around, I may not talk about every single little tip, but I will go through everything. So let's do the other skeleton. Okay, we're going to glue the white. This is actually a white glitter. So white glitter is not always just for Christmas and Easter and stuff like that. You can definitely use it for Halloween. I think a common theme among our Halloween stuff is definitely the use of glitter because, well, Halloween's kind of, it's bright and flashy and fun and just kind of just wacky and wild. So why not throw a little bit of glitter in there whenever you can. Okay, grab that and we're going to pop that right onto the green section. Again, making sure that we have the green sections peeking through in the center of the eyes and the nose. So I personally, as far as dressing up goes, well, I guess I'm kind of a romantic when it comes to Halloween, and I really just like the classic stuff. All right, we're going to glue this down since we have it ready. And again, remember this first set of little markers here, just double check before you put it down. It's going to fit right into this little corner here where the teeth meet the main part of the skull. Okay, so don't forget that. So I've done, one thing I've never done actually is, I don't think I've ever dressed up as Dracula. I've done, I guess one of my favorites, probably because it's one of the first things I could afford when I was a kid, was Jason from Friday the 13th. I had like a neon green hockey mask. I actually used it to play street hockey, and then I was like, oh, well, this will double as a Halloween costume too. So I've done that many times. If you look at my Facebook page, I'm sure you'll find pictures of me in that mask. Okay, just match that up with the little marker and press that down. Perfect. Okay, you know what, while we're here, we'll just throw the eyeballs in place. We might as well. I dressed up as Harry Potter, even though the Sorting Hat said I was Slytherin. I'm not sure I could pull off, what's his name? I think it's Malfoy? Maybe I could actually. Could slick my hair back, and that's a possibility. I dressed up as Willy Wonka one year. That was fun. I can't pull that off. Not nearly as handsome as Gene Wilder, that's for sure. My head's too big for that. So that was a disaster. Let's see, what else did I dress up as? Oh boy. I'm trying to think. I've never done Michael Myers. I just don't like wearing masks, I guess. I did a scarecrow one year. That was the year that Mike from the team, it was the first year he joined the team. He actually came out to my Halloween party. Okay, so we've got these two markers here for the inside of the jaw. I want to say that that's called a mandible, maybe? Testing my knowledge of anatomy here. I think I'm right, though, surprisingly. I know a lot about biology and medicine. I think if this dreaming tree thing doesn't work out, I might have to pursue a career in the medical field. We'll see. All right, and then don't forget these little pieces here. And I can't see it. There it is. Gotta bring that down just a tad. Okay, and the other one on the other side. I really have to go through and take a look at all my costumes because I can't remember them now. And I guess part of that is because when we have Halloween parties, there's a little bit of cocktails going on, and it makes the memory a little fuzzy. Okay, so that's done. That's done. Now we just have one more side to do as far as the tombstones go. And don't forget that I'm going to skip over these little cracks. We'll do those afterwards once we get the main part of this in place. And And then just some little paper piecing here and there. And then we can get into some actual 3D crafting. That's all we've been doing right now. It's kind of a throwback to some scrapbooking. Okay, there we go, a little bit here. Pop that right on top of the green. And you can see here that I inked this entire green piece, which was a complete waste of time because it's all covered up. And sometimes that happens when I'm doing prep work. I just kind of get into a zone and I don't even think about it. I just start inking like a madman, and I don't want to do that. So I don't want to waste time. I have a bunch of my family coming in from out of town tomorrow, and I've just been kind of hyper-focused trying to get stuff done. Okay, so remember, I've got a little scrap piece of paper here. I'm going to tuck it between these two layers, paint a little bit of glue on the underside of the top layer, and then just glue that on, glue that in place. I'll do the same thing here. I don't want to spread it, I'm just kind of dabbing it, because I feel like if you just dab it, it stays in one spot. You don't end up getting any on the sides. It just kind of stays where it needs to stay, just like that. Pretty delicate little piece, but pretty amazed with the accuracy and consistency of the Cricut machines lately. They've been doing a pretty good job with their machines. Okay, so I'm just kind of dabbing a little bit of glue onto this little crack, lining it up. There we go. Perfect. All right. Okay, so just like we did before, remember the markers are here and here. So we'll flip this over and apply our glue onto the surface, the back part, I should say. Okay. And I'm going to skip the cracks again. And again, using my little marker there on the top right corner and the top left corner for a perfect placement every time. Okay, and don't forget to grab that scrap piece of paper, throw a little bit of glue on there. You can technically, if you wanted to, maybe not so much with that one, but with this guy here, you just dab a little bit right near the tip. You don't even need to put it on the entire piece because that will kind of hold it in place. Okay, I think you try to avoid using too much glue on little areas like this so that you don't blemish it. When in reality, all you need is just a little bit on the tip of it to hold it down in place. Okay, and we'll go here. And I said don't spread it, but I'm spreading it. And just pop that in place. There we go. Okay, great. So now we just have, we've got our little swooshes. And remember, we've got the little V shapes there. There's also some additional markers as well. And if you place this in the correct spot among those little V shapes, you'll see exactly where they, where those other little markers line up. Pardon my head if it's in the shot. There we go. And grab the next one. And the rest of this is pretty much a cakewalk. It should go pretty quick. Okay, so let's see here. What am I doing? Wait a minute. Here we go. And just like that. You need to scooch it a little bit. There it is. Just about. There we go. Okay. Wonderful. All right, let's get our little cross in place. Remember, we've got the little markers there as well. You can't really go wrong with this because we've got everything you need to succeed as far as the placement and all that good stuff. Okay, so use those markers to your advantage. Take a look. Just make sure that I'm still giving it a visual. Make sure it's nice and straight. There we go. Don't forget your little donut at the top. Reinforce it. Just match it up with the little circle in the center, just like that. And now you can start working on the caption. Don't forget that we're going to use, for this first section, the piece that kind of looks like the eye, but it only has 3 nubs on the left, or 3 nubs on the left, 1 nub on the right for the first letter. That's R. And we'll grab this piece. So anyway, like I said, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Tell me what you've dressed up as, or what you're planning on dressing up as, or maybe what your kids are dressing up as. I need some ideas this year. We're going to be celebrating Halloween, and then probably a week or 2 later saying hello to our new little guy, Peyton. He's going to be here before we know it. Kind of, actually, I don't really feel worried or scared about it, so. All right, for the P, again, we've got the 3 little nubs on the left, 1 nub on the bottom right, and then we'll grab this little piece. Finish off the letter P. Use those markers. There we go. Okay, really cool. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to close this up, and what we need to do is just put some glue on this tab here. It's the only tab left. Let's throw a little bit of glue on there. Spread that glue out to the very edge, so we get a nice clean seam. You can actually put this down on your surface. We'll grab this other side. It should just pop right into place. Okay, no guesswork there. If you need to kind of push it in a little bit, that might be a possibility, and that's okay. Okay, press that down. Should be able to fold it this way as well. That means that you've got it aligned perfectly. Okay, and there it is. Now we can flip this around, looking at the bottom. And we're going to find these 2 squares here. One of them has a little L on it. L is for liner, and we're going to put that inside. That's going to help reinforce and strengthen this. Pick a tab, any tab. I'm going to pick the tab that is on the side of one of the faces, and we're going to put some glue on just one of the tabs. Spread that glue out to the very edge. Get some on the inside there. Grab the piece that does not have the L on it and get that lined up nice and centered onto that tab, right onto the very edge. Press that down into place and hold it. You can then flip it down and press down on the rest of the tab to help it make complete contact with that square piece. There we go, just like that. Should look nice and crisp. You can then move this out of the way and apply glue to the remaining 3 tabs as we start to close this thing up. Okay, I'm going to do an extra little line here and there. Spread that glue out to the very edge on all 3 sides. You can kind of squeeze it to give your finger room away from the adjacent tabs, just like that. And as we go to close this, focus on aligning this edge, the side opposite of this side, with the very edge of this side. Get it nice and centered on there. Press that down, and then the other 2 sides should just magically kind of fall into place, and they did. And flip this over, and you can press down from the inside to help the rest of that surface area on those tabs make contact. And then take a little bit of glue, just throw it on the inside like that. We'll take this piece and throw it in there. Just drop it in. Okay. So there's the container. And now we wanted to pretty it up on the inside. So we did create these little liners. I guess this is optional if you don't want to, you know, clean up the inside and make it nice. You don't have to. These are just going to go in. They're going to go flat up against the bottom, and then there's going to be a little bit of a border around the top, which actually is a very nice touch. So flip her around. Let's get some glue going around the perimeter. And this is going to be very strong. Just pop it in, push it all the way down up against the bottom. Make sure it's centered. and then just drop it in there and press down. It helps to just kind of keep it on your surface so you don't go bending and warping this thing. But you can see how nice that looks. Gives it a really cool contrast. Okay, so we'll do the same thing here. I'm just leaving it on my table. Might as well, anytime you can, definitely use your table as a tool. Helps keep things nice and crisp and clean. And if you try to do things in midair, you end up warping the paper or ripping something. Okay, so again, just popping it in there, pushing it in as far as it'll go until it hits the bottom. And with this one, you have to make sure that you line it up with the little hole where the handle's gonna go. Okay, so just make sure that you're not obstructing that little hole. Boy, this thing's nice. Okay, so that's what it should look like. Beautiful. We'll go back to this one here, the flat one, or the round top one, I should say. Okay. And just like we did before, pop it in there. Just kind of push it in as far as it'll go. Make sure it's centered. And just drop it in. And press that down. Okay. One more. And again, with this one, just make sure you line it up with a little hole. You can use string. We have some pretty thick wire that we're going to use. I want a nice sturdy handle on this one. I think that this thing's probably even strong enough to actually use as a trick-or-treat basket, maybe for a smaller child. Personally, I don't think that this thing could handle the amount of candy that I would get if I was trick-or-treating. But again, it makes a great little gift box, or gift bag, I should say. Okay, there we go. So all four sides are in there. You can see it almost looks like his brain in a way. It's kind of cool. Okay, so we've got one more piece that's going to go right in the center. And I prefer to just put my glue down like this. Okay, and just pop that right in there. And I want to make sure we get that nice and centered as well. And if you have a little bit of glue that didn't belong, that's fine. Okay, so that's that. Here is the wire that I have, and you can use whatever you want. You can even use like a cool like pipe cleaner if you have some cool, I forget what they're called. I always call them pipe cleaners. I forget. Chanel stems, that's what it is. So with this little handle here, all you need to do, let me get this off of here. We still have a base that we're going to create for this too, which is very simple, but I just want to take this and, oh boy, I might need some pliers or something to bend this, but I'm just going to bend this up like that. You just poke it through from the outside. I might need to, there we go, just like that. And then maybe just give it a quick little squeeze so it doesn't come popping out. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so last thing we need to do is we have this piece here, and it's just a little base to put this on. It's optional. If you don't want to cut it, just omit the pansy color. I believe that's pansy. You don't have to cut it if you don't want to make a base, but we've made a nice base for it. Here is a little triangular tab. I'm going to start by putting a little bit of glue on that. I'm going to dab that and thin it out. And we'll take this wall here and just pop that right on there and press and hold that for just a moment. Let that set. And it should not take long for it to set. It should go pretty quick. If it's taking you a long time, it means you've got too much glue on there. Okay. And I'm going to tuck that little tab inside. And there we go, just like that. Press that into place and hold. Now, I am going to ink this because I want to give it a nice distressed look, but it's a lot easier to ink this when it's actually together. Okay, so with this one here, I'm actually going to put glue on both of these tabs at the same time. Just kind of dab those. I'm going to pull the lid back and fold it over so I can actually get my finger in here. And then press and hold that in place for a moment. That's going to allow this tab to get nice and tacky so that it should take just a few seconds for it to really get a hold. Okay, there we go. There's that. I'm just going to hold that in place. I can actually put that down on my surface and press on the tabs from here. And then all that's left to do now is just take and apply glue to these 3 large tabs. I'm going to go a little bit heavier with the glue here because we've got a lot of surface area to go and I don't want it to dry out. And this is just going to be the bottom anyway. Okay, so spread that glue out to the very edge of your tab. Okay, we'll get this one. And we're going to close it up this edge here, line it with this edge here. If you need to kind of push the wall or the vertical part in a little bit, that's totally normal. Okay, this side needs a little nudge too. That's fine. And then just keep pressing down along the perimeter until everything is nice and set. There we go. Take a look at your work. Make sure everything is nice and seamless. If it's not, if you've got one little edge poking up, don't forget you can grab a little scrap piece of paper and just paint a little bit of glue in there and then press it down. But let's go ahead and let's do some inking on this. Let's go with a nice purple color. Let me see if I put that away. I may have. Where'd it go? There we are. There's my purple. I'm going to grab my handy little felt applicator. And what I like to do is, let me grab a scrap piece of paper here. I dab this on there. You can see this ink pad, and I actually sometimes prefer that they're not so wet. That's coming off just how I want it. And I'm just going to start kind of hitting the edges of this right at the top. Just kind of scraping or brushing the surface ever so gently. It's kind of like just a little muscle memory thing. And when I do corners on square things like this, I like to kind of come in and create almost like a round appearance. So kind of hitting the corners a little bit more than just the edges. So you can see what's happening there. There's a lot more coverage there. Almost makes it look like there's like a little circle in here a little bit. That's just my personal preference. You don't have to do it that way, but I kind of like that look. Instead of it looking so square all the way around, I like doing it that way. And I'm just gonna repeat this all the way around. I think I'm gonna do both sides. So once this is done, we're just gonna take and put some glue on the bottom of our little basket and just glue it to this little piece here. I'm gonna try to maintain a nice even border all the way around. It's gonna be about 1/8 of an inch. And with this edge here, I'm just gonna, again, this is Halloween, so don't be afraid to just have some fun with the inking and just get a little crazy. It doesn't have to be so precise. It's, you know, it's kind of one of those holidays where almost anything goes. I'm literally just rubbing it on there. That looks great. It's kind of fun. It's almost like you're a little kid, or you don't have to color inside the lines, I guess is a good way of explaining how this sort of feels. There we go. Get it nice and creepy looking. That's what we want. I've done a lot of inking today. There we go. Okay, so like I mentioned, we're going to flip this over and we'll apply our glue to the bottom. It's okay if you go a little bit heavier on the glue here. It's not a problem. Actually, probably a good idea. And then I'm going to spread that glue out. Like so. And is that square? Yeah, it's square, so it doesn't matter. And again, just pop that right on there. You can have about 1/8 of an inch all the way around as far as the border goes. Press down from the inside, take a look. You can see how much of that is peeking out there. Try to keep it consistent all the way around. And there we go. So really all that's left to do, just going to add some rhinestones to the bottom of the base. Let's see, where else are we putting some rhinestones? I think we might, let's see. I think that's pretty much it. Maybe, you could probably put a couple in these little round parts of these little swirls, but that's going to do it. It's going to do it for our RIP treat basket. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please visit us on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. While you're there, hit that little bell so that you get notifications anytime we release a new product, whether it be paid or free, or when we go live. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, I'd love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, where you can join myself and almost 40,000 other dreamers that inspire us daily. So happy Halloween crafting, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos, and also please consider hitting that subscribe button. And don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section, where we have over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly videos. I look forward to crafting with you soon.